Morning everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Homestead. Jack here with Jack and Emmy, just hanging out. What's up? You'll be on camera. It is a beautiful fall day on the homestead. It's 75 degrees right now here on the homestead, and as much as I don't want to believe that winter is coming, it's gonna be here soon. See, here in New England, the seasons blur together pretty heavily. It's November right now and 75 degrees at the moment, but we've already had snow and hard freezes here on the homestead that have kind of sent things into overdrive for winter planning. Hey guys, you ready for breakfast? Last week I built this pig hut that you can see behind me, and I did it in the falling snow. It was pretty crazy. Now I'm in short sleeves and it's beautiful out, and there's no more snow in the pig enclosure behind me. So things change quickly here in New Hampshire. And things are changing. Along with that snow, we've had a bunch of nights that have gotten down into the 20s. And since I work at a farm store, I've gotten a lot of questions from new chicken owners about what to do when temps drop. You see, about 6 months ago, thanks to COVID, a whole bunch of people got their first chickens ever. People that thought they wanted to get chickens over the previous 2, 3, 4 years finally did. Combine that with the fact that there were egg shortages in the stores and a lot of people were concerned about what they were going to be eating. So you have a whole lot of new people that just got chickens. So now you have all these new chicken owners that have never owned chickens before. The temperature is starting to drop and they have questions. One I get a lot is, how do we keep our chickens' water from freezing? And that's relatively simple. You use a heated chicken waterer. Easy to plug in, easy to keep their water from freezing. That's kind of a no-brainer. Another question I get is, how do I keep their run clear? How do I give them the ability to walk around and you know, be chickens in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground? And again, the answer to that one is pretty simple. The same way you would do your sidewalks or driveways. You can shovel if you have a shovel. You can use a snowblower if you have a snowblower. You're gonna treat this area just like any other place. You wanna clear out an area of the snow for the chickens to run around in, and you're gonna keep their water from freezing. But one of the most common questions I get is, how do I keep the chickens warm during the winter? Should I put a heat lamp in their coop? Do I need a wall-mounted heating plate? What can I do to keep my chickens from freezing to death? And at this point, the answer gets a little bit more gray area than some of the other ones. See, as humans, we fall into this trap of thinking, well, if I'm cold, they must be cold. And when the temperature goes from like 40 degrees outside to 20 degrees at night, we get all uppity and freak out and say, oh my gosh, my chickens are cold. I've got to do something for them. But the truth is, you don't have to. Your chickens have got it all figured out already. Let's talk for a second about winter jackets. Your favorite really cold weather winter jacket probably looks something like this, maybe a little bit less shiny, but it's probably filled with something called down. And down feathers are the undercoat of almost all birds out there. Typically in jackets, they use the down of geese. And in your cold weather winter jacket, those down feathers are encased in a fabric that is relatively weather resistant. There's a whole bunch of air trapped in each of these pockets with the down feathers, and that's going to be what keeps you warm when you're in really cold weather. Now, if you look at a chicken, well, let me see if I can go grab one. Give me a second. there's no way any of them are gonna let me grab them right now, so you'll just have to take my word on it. That if you were to grab one of your own chickens and look at the feathers that are underneath their outer feathers, they're wearing a coat of down just like you or I would in extremely cold temperatures outside. And when they're on the roost, they squat down and they're able to cover their feet with the feathers that keep the rest of their body warm. So you don't have to worry about your chickens freezing to death inside their coop because they're able to stay pretty warm when they're roosting at night. So if the reasons I gave in this video so far were not enough to turn you off to putting a heat lamp in your chicken coop so far, here's a few more. 1, fire danger. Heat lamps are the most common causes of fire, I would assume, on a homestead. Especially in chicken coops. You know, the number one way to burn your chicken coop down, if that's what you're looking to do, is to put a heat lamp in it. Dust and heat lamps don't mix. Chickens generate a ton of dust. If you don't want to burn your chicken coop down, then I suggest not putting a heat lamp in it. 2, moisture in the coop. You want to keep moisture to a minimum in these things during the winter. Moisture is what's going to give your birds frostbite if it gets super cold. And if you are heating this, you are keeping water in a vapor form. Water in the winter will freeze up, water that comes out of their excrement or water that they bring in on their feathers from outside. And that water is going to freeze and it's going to stay in a solid form. As soon as you heat that water up, it's going to turn into water vapor and it's going to become moisture in the air. And in freezing cold temperatures, that's no good because it's going to form frost on their combs and beaks and things like that. And it's going to contribute to other issues. So you don't want to have moisture in your coop. Your coop should be well ventilated but draft free. But putting a heat lamp in there is going to up the level of moisture that's in your coop. So you just don't want to do that. And the last reason is going to be the temperature shock that you're going to make them experience when you put a heat lamp in their coop. Think about when you take a nice warm shower and you step out of that shower into a cold bathroom or onto a cold tile floor. It sucks, doesn't it? It's cold, it's miserable. You don't want to be there. When you put a heat lamp in your chicken's coop, you're going to make them experience that all the time. And in the long run, you know, it's just a comfort thing for the chickens. They're not going to be as comfortable, but it could also turn into respiratory issues and other things like that where you really just don't want to deal with it and you shouldn't make your chickens go through it. So that's reason number 3 why you shouldn't put a heat lamp in your chicken coop. So that's it. Hopefully if you're a new chicken owner, I gave you a few things to think about in this video. Again, the key takeaway is your chickens don't need a heat lamp in their coop. Their body heat is going to give them all the residual heat inside the coop that they need. I mean, if you really think about it, those tiny little songbirds and sparrows and juncos and birds that you feed all winter long at your bird feeders in the snow, they do just fine sitting out in the open on branches. Your chickens with much more body mass, they're going to be perfectly fine in a coop as long as it's relatively draft free and vented well. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if this video was helpful to you. We'd love to have you stick around and watch some of our other content. Thanks for watching and have a great day, guys. Bye.